What if life wasn't meant to be taken so seriously? What if instead it was a playful act, a grand experiment, a divine unfolding, or even, as Alan Watts might say, a cosmic game? Alan Watts, the philosopher who brought Eastern wisdom to the Western world, had a way of explaining life that was both profound and light-hearted. He reminded us that the seriousness with which we approach life is often the very thing that makes it feel so heavy. Alan Watts, a philosopher, spiritual teacher, and author, spent his life exploring the deeper mysteries of existence. He had a way of explaining complex ideas, like Zen Buddhism, Taoism, and the nature of reality, in a way that felt simple, playful, and deeply human. His teachings weren't about escaping life. They were about embracing it, fully and joyfully as it is. One of Alan Watts' most famous teachings is his idea that life is a game, a cosmic drama in which we are both the players and the spectators. He said, "The whole point of the dancing is the dance." What does this mean? It means that life isn't about reaching some grand destination or solving every problem. It's about the experience of living itself. The ups, the downs, the twists, the turns. Just like in a dance, the purpose isn't to get anywhere. The purpose is to enjoy the movement, to lose yourself in the rhythm of life. Watts also said, "This is the real secret of life. To be completely engaged with what you are doing in the here and now. And instead of calling it work, realize it is play." Think about that for a moment. How often do we approach life as if it's a series of tasks to get done, a list of problems to solve? What would happen if we shifted our perspective and saw those same tasks, those same experiences, as part of the game, as opportunities to play? But here's the thing. Somewhere along the way, we forgot that life was a game. One of my favorite Alan Watts quote is, "Man suffers only because he takes seriously what God made for fun." What does this mean? It means we've started believing that life is something to conquer, to master, or to control. We've become so caught up in the roles we play, parent, worker, friend, achiever, that we've forgotten they're just that, roles. Temporary identities we take on for the sake of the game. Watts used the image of a sandcastle to explain this. He said that just as a child builds a sandcastle, knowing the waves will eventually wash it away, we too should approach life with that same sense of freedom and impermanence. The joy isn't in keeping the castle forever, it's in creating it, moment by moment, and letting it go when the time comes. So how do we take Alan Watts' wisdom and apply it to our everyday lives? How do we remember that life is a game and approach it with more lightness, more playfulness? Here are 3 simple ways to start. 1. Stop trying to control everything. In The Wisdom of Insecurity, Alan writes, "Faith is a state of openness or trust. To have faith is to trust yourself to the water." Think about this. How often do we try to control every detail of our lives, only to feel more stressed and overwhelmed? What if, instead of clinging so tightly, you could relax into life, trusting that it will carry you where you need to go? Just like floating on water, it's not about forcing things to happen. It's about letting go and allowing life to unfold. 2. Be fully here, right now. Alan reminds us repeatedly that the present moment is all we have. He writes in his book, The Wisdom of Insecurity, "The present is the only thing that has no end." How often do we get caught up in worrying about the future or replaying the past? What would happen if, just for a moment, you brought your full attention to the here and now, to the sound of the wind, the taste of your coffee, the feel of the ground beneath your feet? Life isn't happening in the past or the future. It's happening right here, in this breath, in this moment. Number 3, laugh at the absurdity of it all. Perhaps one of the greatest gifts Alan Watts gave us was his sense of humor about life. He said, "We cannot be more sensitive to pleasure without being more sensitive to pain." This reminds us that life is a mixture of opposites, joy and sorrow, success and failure, light and dark. Instead of resisting the harder moments or taking them too seriously, What if we could step back and see the humor in it all? What if we could laugh at the absurdity of life, knowing that it's all part of the game? Watts often reminded us that laughter is one of the most spiritual things we can do. Alan Watts taught something beautifully simple, yet deeply freeing. Life isn't a problem to solve. It's music, a dance, a playful game. The less we cling, the more open and playful we become, the more deeply we experience life's beauty. Next time you feel weighed down by life's seriousness, remember Alan's gentle reminder. The meaning of life is just to be alive. You're already here. You're already enough. Life is meant to be played, fully, joyfully, and freely. Thank you for joining me today on Flow with Life. If these ideas resonated with you, consider sharing your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more gentle reminders to flow with life. Stay curious, stay open, and always remember, life is a beautiful game.